What is up, everybody? It's your boy Soto, the Autumn Windbags, here again. Another episode of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Unfortunately, the carcasses, right? Like the bodies of the Raiders went to New Orleans, but the heart and souls didn't go. We lost to the Saints 24-0, and it wasn't even that close, to be honest with you. So, first, to start off, like we always do, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as you see, Razor Ramon right there cleaning himself. Go to the bottom corner here, hit the notifications button. So whenever you see a notification pop up, it's either we drop a new video or we go live. I went live for the fourth quarter this last game because I needed to take something off my mind. I needed to be able to vent a little bit. So I did that. But like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate you guys. We like all the feedback. And just to get right into it, because I just want to get this over with, because I know I need to do it, but I just don't have the heart to do it right now. I feel like how the Raiders play, my heart's not in it. But here we go. Alrighty, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to start with the good, like we always do. You may not think that there's any good right now, as I adjust my, there we go. The good. You may not think that there's any good that happened in a 24-0 loss, but I try to find some stuff. So for the good, Mack Hollins, he had 7 catches for 64 yards. He was probably the only, along with maybe Foster Moreau, he had 6 catches for about 30 yards. But Mack Hollins was probably one of the only reliable weapons we had in this game offensively. Yeah, that's pretty much. Other than the next guy that I'm going to talk about is Jarrett Stidham. He went 8 for 13 in his one drive, 72 yards, our only trip past midfield, and he also got us to the red zone. I'm going to get back to Jarrett Stidham later. It was an issue that we talked about, RJ and I talked about late in the post-game show, that he didn't want to talk about, and he wanted to minimize everything, because when it's something that is in the favor of our starting quarterback, he wants to blow it up with adjectives like fantastic and amazing. But when it's something that makes our starting quarterback look bad, it's always explained away as it's against the garbage time, whatever, who cares, even though they had Saints still had their starters in. Defensively, Deablo had 14 tackles and 9 solo. That's a little misleading. He didn't play great in coverage, and a lot of those tackles were down the field, but whatever, he got the stats. That's your good. If we're gonna have good, we got to have bad, and there's plenty of that. But we're going to get to that later. Actually, we're going to get to that right now. Bad. Our third down offense, our offense in general, but our third down offense was especially bad. We were 5 for 14 on third down. Just can't have it. We're hovering normally around that 45 to 50%, which is just not good. Now, defensively was also bad. Our third down defense, the Saints were 7 out of 12 on third downs, which is, pretty damn good. It's solid, not great, but about better than what we've been doing. Also, as part of the bad, 6 penalties, 59 yards, put us in a big hole. There was a big third down penalty when it was, I think, only 17-0 on Rocky Sin. That gave the Saints a first down. It was our first called and accepted pass interference of the season. Plenty of holding penalties as a secondary, but this is our first pass interference. But those 6 penalties, man, they just bogged down drives. They bog down drives big time. We don't have the type of offense. The type of offense we want to run does not play well from behind the sticks. Like, we don't play well with third and long, and we were in that position way too often. I'm not going to make any excuses for the offense because they were a big part of it, but penalties played a role in that as well. All right, the good, the bad, and here's the ugly. Our offensive line play was god awful, absolutely terrible. We couldn't run block because of the poor run blocking. We fell behind in the game, and because we fell behind in the game, and because of the penalties, we weren't able to run later in the game, which is what we wanted to do. Because of that, Josh Jacobs, our best weapon the last 3 games, only had 10 carries for, I believe, like 46 yards or something like that. A decent 4.6 average, but if you think about that, one play he had 16 yards on one run. It's hard to sustain drives when, nine runs for 30 yards. It's hard. Our coaching staff, I think, for whatever reason, just didn't connect. I think the whole, got to be better, got to coach better, got to stay level. Like, I think the coaching staff needs to find a way to really connect with this team and really kind of push those buttons to where we can kind of get some fire. There was no fire on this team. And it was from the very beginning. I think the game plan, the game plan early in the game, I thought we were a little too pass heavy. Part of that was because we weren't able to get yardage on our first and second down runs. Part of that was because of early penalties. But we have to figure it out. This is what's happening. This is what they're doing to us defensively. Okay, what are we going to do? We have to figure it out. We have to change up. We have to find a fix for this while it's happening. We can't we can't have the luxury of looking at the tape and being, oh, we should have done this. So the next time we're going to do this, because there's not going to be a next time, because the defensive coordinators out there are looking at our tendencies, and they're also predicting what we're going to do different. So we have to be able to figure that stuff out while it's happening. It's just not good. The team wasn't ready to play. They just didn't look like they had the fire in them. After the first series, it just looked flat. Which brings me to my final ugly. Our starting quarterback was putrid. And unfortunately, our starting quarterback is good for about 2 to 3 of these a year. And as great as those big games are that he has, 350 touchdowns, 75% completion rate, bringing us back from defeats, he also has these too. And then he also has a lot of games in the middle. It's just I talked about it to RJ. Just, I personally feel I've seen enough of our starting quarterback to feel comfortable with moving on. Many people don't feel that way. They want to look at a bunch of other things around it, but you have to take a look at constants. You have to take a look at what's been the one constant through this stretch. And sometimes you just have a bad stink on you. Bill Parcells, who is someone that I respect very much, in his opinion, he said something that was, pretty telling. Something bad always seems to happen to that guy. It's like he's not a bad player. He's got good measurables. He's a nice guy. He works hard, but it's like when the game comes on, it's like nothing good ever seems. Like something bad always seems to happen to that guy for some reason, And when you throw up stinkers like this multiple times in multiple seasons in a row, it's just you can't rely on it. The swings are way too high and low. I think that a lot of people, maybe half of you out there, who are Carr supporters, focus mostly on the highs and then people like myself who want to just kind of cut bait, focus too much on the lows. I'm looking at the swings. You can't have these big swings up and down. And honestly, the way we've been playing our best is behind the running game, and you don't need to pay your quarterback 35, 40 million bucks a year to be a game manager. You could find somebody else for that. I think we could find a more dynamic player. I think we find a player that's more fiery, that's more of a pump you up type of leader. I think that's what we need. I think that it's just gone tone deaf right now. I think we've gone deaf to Derek Carr and his post-game speeches and his interviews and all this stuff. It's just, I'm tired of listening to it. I don't know about you guys, but he didn't move us past the 50-yard line. And they were bad throws, and I could tell in the beginning of the game that he wasn't going to have a good game. I could tell when he's jumpy and he's throwing the ball high, he's nervous, not going to play well, and he didn't. I want to know what you guys think, because I'm not saying that Carr is a bad quarterback. I'm saying he's far too inconsistent to be counted on in the long term, to be counted on in the course of a season. He's far too inconsistent. And you can't have games like this, multiple games. The first game of the year, he threw 3 picks, two in the fourth quarter. This game, nothing was clicking for him. He was missing on players. His pocket awareness was zero. So I put just as much of a blame on Josh McDaniels as I do our quarterback for this loss. Our defense, we knew coming in our defense wasn't good. Okay, our defense gave up 24 points. If your defense gives up 24 points, you should have a chance to win. But the problem is when your defense gives up 24 points and you score 0 points, it makes the defense look a lot worse. But honestly, you're not moving the ball down the field. You're not eating up any clock. You're not letting them rest, and they only give them 24 points, only 7 points in the second half. I think they did okay. And I'm, for everyone who wants to blame Josh McDaniels, I'm all for it. If you want to move on from Josh McDaniels, you also have to move on from Derek Carr, because this is his 9th season with us, and we haven't won a goddamn thing. We haven't won anything with this man. It's just time to move on. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I wish him well. Him and his family he can go off and be a pastor and start his own ministry. And I think that he would do a great job for the community. I really think he would. But as far as being our starting quarterback, I think his time is done. Josh McDaniels needs to show us a lot more. Unfortunately, he inherited a team that was severely off balance and severely kind of tilted money-wise and talent-wise against what he wants to do and against how he wants to play. He wants to play behind the run. He wants to throw the ball short. He hasn't had Waller very much. Renfrow's been inconsistent. He has a great target in Davante Adams, and Mack Hollins is emerging as a good weapon. Today, or in the game, Foster Moreau showed that he has some ability. Unfortunately, all the money you're spending on the skill positions on the offense is taken away from a lot of things on your offensive line and your defense. How do you fix that? You got to start cutting some people. You got to start trading some people. We can't fall in love with players, people. It's about the team. And right now, this team is broken. This team is not built like a championship team, and we have a lot of things we need to do to fix it. That's why I don't feel like Mark Davis is going to move on from the Ziegler-JMD combo, because he knows and he sees that last year was great, but it's not sustainable. Playing your worst offensively in the last 4 games against 4 teams or 3 of the 4 teams had quarterback issues going in, and the Chargers are just the Chargers. You can't sustain winning like that. I really want us to take a hard look at what we're doing. I was asked during the play by the watch along portion of the fourth quarter, what would you say to the team as the head coach? And I would tell them as a head coach, like if I'm Josh McDaniels, say, guys, I failed you this week. I didn't prepare you well enough. I didn't foresee the issues and the game planning. I didn't adjust quickly enough to what they were doing defensively. I don't feel that I got you guys primed and hyped up enough for this game, pumped up enough for the game. But everyone has to look each other in the eye, and you have to ask yourself, don't have to answer it out loud, but ask yourself, did I let the team down? Did I let my teammates down? And everyone in there should say yes, because I don't think anyone played a game that they should be proud of. What's up, Razor? You want to be a part of the podcast too, buddy? No, I wouldn't either. Okay, so it's gut check time right now. It's early in the season. Last season, it was when we got stomped by the Chiefs. Gut check time. What are we going to do? How are we going to play? Fortunately for us, we won those games. Unfortunately, it's not like our play got much better. We just figured out ways to Daniel Carlson carried us through the last 4 games last year and some fluky plays here and there. But honestly, we need to take a hard look at ourselves, and is this good enough? And honestly, I don't think it is. I think it's time to move on. If Mark Davis wants to move on from Josh McDaniels after 1 season, I think it's too early, but whatever, fine. But if you do that, you're going to give Derek Carr like a 7th head coach to see if, let's say, if this guy can turn him around. Like, we already know what we have, and it's not enough. People want to say stuff like, Davante Adams only came over because to play with. No, he came over because he was a Raider fan. His boy Derek Carr is here, which is good, but he wanted to play for the Raiders, so he's not going anywhere. Let me know what you guys think, man, because a lot of content creators out there, a lot of Raider content creators are saying that it's time to move on from Carr. It's not just me. I'm not gonna name them off. I'm sure if you go on Twitter, you can find them yourself. There's some very famous Raider content creators that are saying that it's time to move on. I just happen to agree with it. I know Rory feels the same way that I do. I just don't lone holdout. But I don't feel that there needs to be a falling flat on your face, mud, head in the mud type of stretch of 3-4 games in a row for us to move on. I think that if we get this type of quarterback play for a quarter or a quarter and a half, not even a whole half, I think it's time to make a change and see what another quarterback can do, because you've seen a pattern of if you ask your quarterback to do too much, he doesn't play well. So unfortunately, that is what it is. The bad guys lose 24-0 on a road game to the Saints. It wasn't even that close. It should have been a lot more. We only made, I know, buddy, I'm sad too. We only made 1 trip past the 50-yard line. That trip was not even quarterbacked by our starting quarterback. We didn't even have any, no Davante Adams, no Hunter Renfrow. It was just Mack Hollins and a bunch of other guys out there, or a bunch of also-rans. And we were able to move the ball down the field then. But that's it for the episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm sorry. I wanted to give you guys as much as I could. I just don't have anything to give you. There's just not enough there. I'm trying to create some content for you guys and give my opinions and go off of, what I saw and go off of stats and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard when the team doesn't really give you much. The season is not over. We're 2-5. The Eagles were 2-5 last year, and they still made the playoffs. So it's possible for us to get on a run and keep pushing, but we got to turn it around, and we cannot make the Jacksonville Jaguars look like a decent team. We have to beat them, and if we beat them, we have to beat them convincingly, because they're not a good team. If we just squeak by them, that it's going to be real trouble, because they're not a good team. They're not playing good. So I want to let you go. We appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for taking this journey with me and RJ and Rory. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification button. It's what you get, so you get notified of any content that we put out, either live videos or recorded videos. And until next time, guys. Oh, here he is. What's up, buddy? He wanted to make an entrance. All right, till next time, guys. Peace.